I have always regarded China as a neighbor, a good neighbor, and also as a very big market for whatever it is that we produce. So Malaysia is a trading nation. We need markets. We can't quarrel with such a big market as China.
There's this perception, though, it's been 40 days since you took over power. People are still wondering about your views on China. Would it be unfair to say that you are perceived as anti-China? Is that an unfair perception?
No, there are certain things, of course, which were done, which was not to Malaysia's advantage or even good for Malaysia. We welcome foreign direct investment from anywhere, certainly from China. But when it involves giving contracts to China, borrowing huge sums of money from China, and the contract goes to China, and China contractors prefer to use their own workers from China, use everything imported from China, and even the payment is not made here, it's made in China. So we gain nothing at all. That kind of contract is not something that I welcome. The other thing is that they develop whole cities, very sophisticated cities, very expensive cities, which Malaysians cannot buy. So they are going to bring foreigners to live in those cities. Now, no country in the world will accept a lot of immigrants coming into the country. I'm against, even if it is from India or from Arab countries or from Europe, foreign immigrants in huge numbers, nobody welcomes, and certainly not Malaysia. That is not what we want.
So, Tun, under your leadership, what specific foreign Chinese investments would you welcome, taking off from your talks with Mr. Jack Ma?
Well, certainly what Mr. Jack Ma was saying is the kind of Chinese investment we want. And we welcome investment, foreign investment from any country, so long as they bring in the capital, they bring in the technology, they set up plants here, and they employ Malaysians from workers to engineers, and they produce goods for the domestic market and for export. That we welcome, coming from anywhere. And I think Mr. Jack Ma's idea, Alibaba's idea, is what we want. He wants to train Malaysians to produce things to be exported to China.
What is your own view of Belt and Road Initiative? Do you think Malaysia can benefit, or are there risks for Malaysia?
Well, in the first place, I had suggested long ago on improving the Silk Road. You see, when ships had to carry a lot of oil, the ships built were bigger and bigger, almost 500,000 tons, but the train remained the same size. So I wrote a letter to Xi Jinping suggesting that he builds a super train, maybe 1.5 times the size, longer trains that can cross from China right up to Europe, because the technology is now available. And then, of course, he came up with the One Belt, One Road idea, inclusive of the sea route to Europe. Of course, the sea is very important, but I am quite sure that it is not his intention to prevent other ships from passing through the Straits of Malacca and South China Sea. We need to have open passage for all ships, because we trade with all nations, so we need the sea to be open to everybody. I think there should not be too many warships. Warships create tension, and someday somebody might make some mistakes and there will be a fight, some ships will be lost, and there might even be a war. We don't want that. What we want is the seas to be patrolled by small boats, patrol boats, equipped to deal with pirates, not to fight another war.
We have not heard, since the new government came into power, the new government's position on the dispute. Is it different from the Najib government?
Well, in the past, we go by the shelf in the sea, and an area that is less than 200 miles from our shores, facing our shores, belong to us, is our sea. So we find that in that sea there are certain rocks which we have developed into islands, and we hope that we will stay on those islands because it is a part of our keeping the sea safe from pirates and other things. So we want to retain, of course, about 4 or 5 islands that we have occupied. The rest, whoever thinks it is theirs can occupy. But it should be something that, if China claims that South China Sea is theirs, but those islands have always been regarded as ours for a long time. So we want to retain that.